Hey guys, Disco here. Today I'm going to react to the Dead by Daylight 7.3.0 PTB patch note thing. This has been live for a few days now. There's only a few days left for me to get my PTB video out, and I'm aware I was going to do this the day that it had released, but I was unable to get to this because I got really busy. So I did I did a video react to the developer update already, which if you haven't seen, I would recommend you go check that out. And then I was going to do this video after that, but again, I ended up getting busy and was unable to. So I believe there's a few videos that came out in between the two, but that's fine. But yeah, so it says important progress and save data information has been copied from the live game to our PTP service on September 11th. I haven't played this game since July, so all of my stuff will be in the PTB because again I haven't played since July. This is taking September 11th stuff, so I'll luckily have all my stuff. But just keep that in mind. Please note that players will be able to progress for the duration of the PTB, but none of that progress will make it back to the live version of the game. Yeah, PTBs are like separate, so progress doesn't transfer with content. Killer perk updates. Furtive chase. You become obsessed with one survivor. You lurk in the shadows, eliminating your victims one by one. When your obsession is hooked, Furtive chase receives 5 tokens, up to a maximum of 2 free. Receives a token up to a maximum of 2 free 4 tokens. Each token decreases your carry rate by 5 meters while in a chase was 4 meters. Because before you would get if you got all 4 tokens, your tear radius would only be decreased by at most 16 meters. And because they talked about this more in depth in the developer update, but they basically said that because Furtive Chase wasn't a very used perk, that they decided to increase how much each token took off, like how many meters of tear radius it took off, to 5. So you lose. So it's now a maximum of 20 meters. Their tear radius gets decreased by, which I think is a good change. I'm very excited for it. Survivor perk updates background player. When the killer picks up another survivor, background player activates for 10 seconds. When you start running, break into a sprint at 150% of your normal running movement speed for 5 seconds. What's 4 seconds? This perk cannot be used while suffering from exhaustion. This perk causes life for 60, 50, 40 seconds. In the developer update, this wasn't worded very well. They did mention the whole you get that normal speed for 1 more second, but they didn't really explain much else about it. So there's kind of more. So far though, I mean, I've essentially already read the stuff, but it is good. I'm a little nervous because I said that I liked the change of something, and apparently I'm the only person so far, to no one's surprise. I've had a few I believe I've had a few unpopular opinions with this game. This one, I don't know yet. I haven't fully made my assumption, but let me just read it off for you guys real quick, and then I'll talk about it more. So it says, updated killer of the Skull Merchant. Basically, in the developer update, they talked about how they wanted to remove Skull Merchant's main not the main, they wanted to remove her most toxic playstyle because a lot of Skull Merchant mains do free genning, and they wanted to get rid of that playstyle entirely, but also keep the drones and just try to make her funner to play against and funner to sort of play ass, and not just sit there and do boring just prolonging matches as much as you can. And while I do feel like they succeeded, and while I do understand why other YouTubers that you could argue are more knowledgeable than me, but whatever, haven't liked it. I don't, because I know Scott John, I believe spooky loops also don't like it. Those are the only people that I know of. I I've had a lot of unpopular opinions with this game. I think my personal opinion before I read this is that we should just give it time. They did just implement the school merchant changes, so they're probably going to change them. So this is just sort of like a test. I don't see them turning her back into the way that she was, because again, if they do that, then we're just gonna have free genning. So my personal opinion is not to really be super angry about Skull Merchant, about her supposedly being worse now and terrible and all this stuff. I think we should just give Behavior time. Behavior clearly wants to make her funner to play against, funner to play as. They want to remove the free genning. This is just them testing some stuff, seeing how it works. They're going to use our feedback to make her better. So while I understand why everyone's angry, I think we just need to give them some time. It's very hard to rework a character. Sadako's rework, they took their time on. I think they took their time to get us to it, but they did well with that change. Orange is the only person that I know of that did not like Sadako's changes. Well, he did. It's not that he didn't like it, but Orange thought that she got nerfed, when in reality, every other person, myself included, agreed that she got like stupid buffed. That she got like a well needed buff, and all of us didn't really have too many complaints with it. So it just kind of goes to show you that different people view things differently, which is why I'm trying to keep an open mind with Skull Merchant, because I've had multiple unpopular opinions where I sided with Behavior on nerfing like a certain perk or something, because just because like sometimes nerfs are kind of needed, because so that you have to change how something works to make it not be like to sort of do like kind of Skull Merchant here definitely needed a rework. The way that she was very awful to play against. I hate most survivors do not like Skull Merchant before this, so if nothing else, at least now she's not like free genning. But it says Ice in the Sky. The Skull Merchant begins the match with 6 drones. It was 4 drones, but because of all the changes, they gave her 6. Now, when I read the developer update on this, I said that I was excited to play as her and see the changes, and that based off of just reading it, I liked it. Now, that's reading it. Actually playing it could be different, but they gave her 6 drones because they work differently, and I think with how they went about changing how she worked, giving her more drones is fine. Press the power button to the play drone, which conducts an invisible continuous sweeping scan. If a survivor is detected, the drone becomes active, which makes the drone scan lines visible. Once detected by scan line, survivor gains. Okay, so in the developer update, they did not say how that worked. They said that there's going to be 2 modes to the drone. Stealth mode, which is where the lines are invisible, the scan lines are invisible, the drone is quieter, all that, it's more stealthy. And the other, and then like and then scout mode. And scout mode is when the lines are visible and it makes noise and stuff. They did not explain at all in the developer update how that was going to work. They just said that there's 2 modes, explained what the 2 modes did, and that was it. So I was very confused as to how switching between the modes worked. But in the PTB sort of patch note stuff here, they explained. They say that they explained, which I'm happy about, because now I know it starts off in stealth mode, and then if the survivor gets detected by the drone in stealth mode, it then turns into scout mode. Now I know, because before they didn't say anything about how to switch them, so I'm happy about that they cleared that up. Um, was detected by a scan line, a survivor gains scan immunity and cannot be detected by other scan lines for 3 seconds. Survivors can attempt to hack drones. Failure activates the drone and partially fills their lock-on meter. Success disables the drone for 45 seconds. So that's still similar to how she worked before, but they changed it because now lock-on kind of works like condemn. So lock-on and condemn, they work similarly in the sense of you gain stacks of them, but that's really the only similarity. But I compare the two of them because they both do like that stack thing, so it's kind of easy to want to compare them. But yeah, so lock on before, because you would go into you would go into the active zone of the drone, and as you were in there, your meter would fill up, and if it filled up all the way, then you were exposed for a certain amount of time. But now, you gain stacks, and once you gain enough stacks, you then become exposed. That was their attempt at making her more chase. That was one attempt of theirs of trying to make her more like chase oriented. So, you know, oh, so so it says remove the active zone, and then in parentheses they put cylinder because I think cylinder was a term for it. I always called it like I always just like I never really gave it a name. Now that I think about it. Like I knew it was called active zone, but like I just associated with the drone more so than giving it a name. They removed remote activation of drones. Yeah, so now you can't remotely activate the drones. You have to like they do it. They kind of do it them. They kind of activate themselves now because you can't do it yours. You can't like go over to a drone and activate it like before. The killer now starts with 6 drones. The minimum distance between drones is now 16 meters. It was like 22 meters or something like that, but they decreased it so you can get drones a little closer. The drone's radius is now 8 meters, which I believe might. I forget if that's larger or not. I'm not. I don't remember the original drone radius. I apologize. I believe it's more, but I could be wrong. Radar. Press the ability. I think radar. Press the ability button to open a radar to see the locations of survivors detected by drones or those with squad drives. So that wording right there is very similar to how it worked before. Drones can be recalled with the radar, which was another thing that the radar I believe did before. Each survivor detected on the radar increases the skull merchant's movement speed. I believe that's similar or the same as well. Lock on. The lock on meter fills when scanned by a drone and when failing to disable a drone. When the meter is full, the survivor receives a claw trap. Yeah, so now lock on just gives you the claw trap. So that's quite a bit different as well from how it worked before. Becomes injured and suffers from the broken status effect. Additional scans briefly apply the hindered status effect. A claw that broadcasts the survivor's location to the killer and is only removed when its battery dies. Remove the exposed status effect from lock on. The reason they removed the exposed status effect from lock on is because I forget their exact reasoning for it. I believe it was because of free genning, but yeah, now you can't um, expose them. Now it's just you. They just get the claw trap. So, but but I mean, some of these are definitely needed changes because it's hard to know like what to do when you're updating a character, like when you're doing a full on like a rework. Which again, I definitely agree that this is a full on rework of a character. So they're doing so. Expect some things to change from this P2B. This is just a test. Um I don't really watch. I don't. There's not too many Dead by Daylight YouTubers I watch. I don't. personally, I don't watch Scott Jones very much. He's a little he seems a little negative to me, and that's a reason why I don't watch him. Um, I mean, I do understand his appeal though. He is knowledgeable. You can learn quite a bit from him. I'm just not a fan of his seeming of the negativity he kind of seems to have going on. But so many people have been complaining with about her that um I still my opinion on the matter is I like the wording of everything. I like getting rid of the free jetting part of her, trying to make her more fun, like trying to make her more interesting to play against and way more like fun, and of course trying to make her more fun to play as, because now you're not just sitting there prolonging the match for a long time. But I do think that we just got to cut them some slack. This isn't how she's going to fully work. They just threw something at the wall. They want to change her free genning. They're just trying stuff out. So I just think we need to be patient with behavior on this, because it's not easy to rework characters. It's not. It's not easy to make a character to begin with, and then you have to go in and change a lot about that character. So I hope you guys kind of see where I'm coming from with this. I have nothing against you, that I don't have nothing against any of you that are like just super angry about it. But I think we just gotta cut them some slack, because they're just kind of trying something new. Other daily rituals, achievements, loading tips, and score events have been updated accordingly. That's good, but kind of random that that's here. Updated killer, the trapper. This is I'm really hoping that they don't touch Trapper too much from this. I've read a little bit about this in the developer update, of course. The developer update in some ways did go more in depth into some stuff, but I personally, I've been wanting Trapper to get bots since 2020. They don't touch him very much, and the few times that they have touched him was just the bear traps being like weird, like bear traps on certain maps, like doing unintentional things. And so, like, while I understand that they wanted to fix those, I've been hoping that they would buff him, and this is a full on buff. It's well needed. I think it'll be a breath of fresh air for the veterans, the newer players, and I think that both newer players and veterans will benefit quite a bit from this. So I'm very, very excited to play as the new Trapper against bots in the PTB, and I'm very excited to just play to and I hope that if they do have to change some of this upon release, I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't make him like bad. I hope that they still give him some. I hope that they try to have him like be a good character. But before I keep rambling on about it instead of reading it, when setting a bear trap, the trapper gets a haste effect of 7.5% for 5 seconds, and then in parentheses it says new effect. That alone, that alone, the setting a bear trap, getting haste, that alone makes me happy. Um, Me and Orange had this sort of it was like a joke, but it was like if they did it, it would be amazing. And our idea was to make Trapper a range killer. So basically, Trapper had a Glock 18 that fired bear traps. So he would shoot a bear trap at people, and if you hit them, it would like, if you nailed someone with the bear trap, it would like clamp down on them. Obviously they did not do that, but that kind of joke is great because we just love joking about Trapper was his Glock 18. But I will say a faster Trapper I think is great. I believe Trapper is an average speed killer. Um, he's definitely doesn't feel the fastest compared to some others. But ever since the 40 perk rework, when the cleaning blood animation became 20% faster, and breaking stuff and chase became 20% faster, Trapper was noticeably quite a bit better. So I'm very happy that now when you set a bear trap, you get a haste effect. I think that's really going to help him out quite a bit, especially if as you're like placing a bear trap and a survivor just kind of happens to show up, you can engage them very quickly with that haste. The Coffee Grounds add-on has been updated to indicate it is an additional haste effect. I think that's good. I don't remember what the Coffee Grounds original effect was. I know it had to do with bear traps because all this stuff had to do with bear traps. But I hope that with the Coffee Grounds add-on, I hope that they keep the original effect because there's no reason not to. I believe the original effect was having him like set bear traps faster or something like that. In my opinion, I feel like there would be no reason to remove that effect from the Coffee Ground add-on. But I am happy that they gave it that there's an additional haste effect with it now. I think that add-on is definitely going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be like his most used add-on now, but I am saying that I think it's going to be a nice sort of option in addition to him to his haste that he gains from setting bear traps now. Anyways, um, behavior. Something interesting was about this change before we get into another character, is that the way that they kind of have been talking about this that they basically worded this change as one day trap. Like this was essentially the wording. They talked about like sort of Trapper like himself kind of came up with this idea, which I think is cool. And it was basically that Trapper like thought to himself, "What if I tried like running, and that's why he has to haste?" I am very excited for this Trapper change. Very very excited. When the trial begins, 8 bear traps spawn on the map was 6, and I think that's good as well because nothing against 6 bear traps, but some of the bigger maps, it's hard to get any value out of them, and behavior in the developer update talked about that. They sort of agreed that the bigger maps having 6 just wasn't enough, so which is why they gave him 8, so he would have more that he can work with. Other killer tweaks: Huntress reloading hatchets takes 3 seconds was 4 seconds. The reasoning for that was so that way Huntress would was to try to get rid of the was so people wouldn't have to rely on the reloading speed ups in the Iron Maiden. As much, but I am very curious to see Huntress's reloading animation with those add-ons and Iron Maiden, because that's got to be pretty fast. Like that's going to be terrifyingly fast if it works. That like all of that kind of goes. It should all go together. I'm just kind of curious how fast it will be. Deathslinger's change is interesting because I don't think they've touched him. I don't think Deathslinger has gotten touched much recently. But Deathslinger, they tried to do something similar with Huntress, but sort of the Deathslinger equivalent because he's quite a bit weird, because he's different. So reloading now takes 2.6 seconds, was 2.75 seconds. I'm very curious to see exactly how fast that was. Nothing gets 2.75 seconds. It's fast, but it's decently fast. But 2.75 seconds also feels slow. I remember I remember in a video, Orange basically gave me free reign to make him play as whoever, and I made him play as Deathslinger, and I gave him one of the add-ons that made him reload faster because he had quite a bit of them. And gotta say, I believe it was it was the yellow one. It was the yellow add-on that makes him reload faster. And gotta say, even with one of the add-ons that makes him reload faster, it made a huge difference. I have not seen Deathslinger with both add-on with. I believe he has two reloading add-ons. I have not seen him with either. I was going to give him that once, but Orange didn't think it was the best idea. I still would, so that would be something that I personally would like to test in the PTB as well if I end up getting around to it, because I would like to see, now that it's faster reloading in general. I was thinking of doing a match where I kind of just saw how fast the reloading was now, and then giving him the add-ons and seeing how much faster it is. I'm very excited to try that. Add-on Warden's Keys decreases the spear gun's reload time by 0.35 seconds, was 0.5 seconds. I believe their reasoning for, so that's an add-on nerf. I don't know if you guys could tell. They nerfed it. The reasoning for doing that though is because Warden's Keys were that add-on was used a lot before this change to make him reload faster, because he reloaded 0.5 seconds faster, which was so noticeable. But because they already decreased his reload time normally, they decided to make they decided to try to put less emphasis on those ads. I'm not sure why they seem to just want people to not really use the reloading add-ons. Well, not well, you know what I mean, like kind of just make trying to put that somewhat base kit. I think it's cool though, and so now it's 0.35 seconds, which is still going to be noticeably faster and still definitely a viable option to use. It just isn't as good as it like was, but I think that's fine and totally acceptable considering you already reload faster now anyways. Jaw Smasher increases movement speed by 1.5% while aiming down the spear gun sights, was 1%. So now 1.5% faster from that add-on. The reasoning for doing that was sort of as a compromise, because they decreased the reloading speed. They wanted to they sort of wanted to make those add-ons like work more, because he's very slow while aiming down sights. So they buffed so let me read the other one real quick as well. Add-on Wanted Poster increases movement speed by 30% while aiming down the spear gun sights, was 2.5%. So if you had both of them together, like a lot of people use, let's say, Warden's Keys and stuff like that to do the reload time, but now if they also want, another reason why they bought these was because they wanted to be more enticing options. So, like, let's say before this change, let's say you were one of the few Deathslinger players, because I haven't seen a Deathslinger in a long time. I like him, though. I suck at playing as him, and so is Orange, but we like him. And if you had both increasing movement speed add-ons, which very much would help out, which are definitely solid add-ons, they help him out a lot. He is very slow in aiming down sights. You would be you would essentially be 3.5%. You would have a 3.5% movement speed increase while aiming down sights, which is not bad, not bad. But now it's a 4.5% increase if you have both of them on. So I could see some people using both of the movement speed while aiming down sight add-ons, because you're faster now. So like there's no reason not to. I'm very happy about the Deathslinger changes. I'm very happy about all the changes. The Skull Merchant one is the only one I'm a little nervous to see sort of in game because of all the backlash he's getting. But as I said, I very much think we just need to give them some time on that. They're doing their best. But this other stuff sounds cool. Like Deathslinger, honestly, Deathslinger got a nice little buff that he needed. The Huntress nice little buff was also needed. Trapper got a much needed buff, which I'm very happy about. Legion. So Legion before, in the developer update, they pretty much they made it seem like they only touched one thing. So I'm curious what they're gonna get into here, because there's definitely a few new things that I've read in this from the developer update. But I think that's cool that there's all this change going on. Add-on BFFs. Each earn tokens for hitting survivors during Fatal Frenzy. Second chain hits is 2 tokens. Third chain hit is 3 tokens. Fourth chain hit is 4 tokens, and fifth chain hits are 5 tokens. Once the gates are powered, if more than 15 or more tokens have been collected, gain a 6% movement speed boost. When not using Fatal Frenzy was 4%. They just okay. So it is just the one thing. That's what I thought. The reasoning for increasing that was because to make it more rewarding, because it's kind of tricky to get all the tokens. So they wanted to reward players by giving you a higher speed boost now, which is cool. Trickster. Reloading knives takes 3 seconds, was 4 seconds. So yeah, so Trickster and Hunters got the same buff. They got literally the same thing, but it's fine. At least, because, I mean, both of them work similarly with lockers, so it makes sense to buff both of them in that sense, and I'm happy about it. The anti-face cam feature, which I remember really liking when I was reading it in the developer update, but it says survivors on the hook have an internal camp meter, which fills when the killer is nearby. The meter fills faster the closer the killer is, but is slower when other survivors are near. Never, and then in parentheses it says never becomes negative. That is true. So it doesn't. So like if a bunch of survivors are there and the killer is by the hook won't just. The hook it won't become like a negative increase. So basically if I Bubba is camping you in the basement and there's no other survivor there, you're gonna get like, and he's standing right next to you, you're gonna get the maximum speed like of the meter. But if all the other survivors are standing there, um, it it will stop and can potentially stop entirely. They stated in the developer update, and I think in a previous update, because they talked about this a little bit in a past thing, but they just hadn't released it yet until now. That it can stop entirely, kind of depending that it can potentially stop entirely depending on certain things. So keep that in mind. And then once the meter is full, the survivor gets a prompt allowing them to escape the hook with 100% probability. Survivors who take this action gain endurance for 15 seconds. So basically, you unhook yourself and you get the same benefits as normal. I believe the benefits are technically slightly better than if you got unhooked, which makes sense because if they're camping you, then if they see you unhook yourself, they're going to go after you. So it makes sense to kind of try to give it a bit more. This feature shuts off entirely once the exit gates are powered. That might seem strange, but the reasoning for doing that is because essentially, well, if the exit gates are powered, then the killer's going to have to do. Then the killer is going to have to do some things to ensure that he gets some. So that he can make sure to get those last final hooks and kills. So that's why it doesn't work if the exit gates are powered, which sucks, but whatever. As part of the system, the cannibal, aka Bubba, can no longer hit a survivor who has endurance twice in the same 0.5 second time span. That one is very nice, because that was the thing he could do before. Because before, if you were a camping Bubba, you could, so like, let's say Dwight unhooks Meg and you're a camping Bubba. You would then hit Meg, she would lose her endurance, and then you would hit her again and she would go back down, and then you would hook her. So I'm very happy that now, if he tries doing that now, it just will no longer hit. That's very nice that they thought about that. Map updates. I remember enjoying these quite a bit, because because having map updates is always fun. The Shattered Square map update, that one was very intriguing to me when I read it in the developer update. The Shattered Square map received a lot of comments at release. Some issues were related to the objects being low to the ground and hard to see, especially when it came to killers that are navigating with a first-person camera. We did a cleanup and made sure that the loops feel smoother. Yeah, that was a thing that they said. They made some things taller and whatnot. They tried to like make it easier for players to kind of deal with it. There were also inconsistencies with our visual navigation language. Objects were placed in a way that it felt possible to simply climb because of similar angles to stairs or slopes found in our maps. This was resolved by taking away some of the objects or placing assets that mesh the collisions. Okay. So they're just kind of talking about like objects, like just changing some objects around and stuff to make it just smoother. The line of sight was very low. It gave the ability for players to see across the map. You could see across the map before. That was kind of fun. A clear line of sight can be detrimental for both roles depending on the playstyle. We have changed this. Positioning of tiles was higher line of sight blockers to be more predominant. The size of the map was large, and we decided to reduce the size to encourage encounters, make it more dynamic, and reduce time to find interactables, generators, hooks, totems, chests, etc. Because that map was one of the biggest maps in the game before, and it was a rectangle, not a square. So fun fact, because they did not say it in here, but they said in the developer update, it's a square now. The Shattered Square is no longer a rectangle; it's an actual square now, and I am definitely going to try to look at it. It's reduced. I'm going to try to remember to look at it. It's reduced to play at least a few matches in the PTB on this map because I very much want to see it. That stuff. But then the other thing that they did was the Macmillan Estate Realm update. The maps of the Macmillan Estate Realm have been in the game for about 7 years, which is as long as Trapper's been in the game, since those are his maps after all. The layouts and other information have been available within the community for a while, but the entity reminded us to give players a chaotic experience. Therefore, we are adding new variations of the Macmillan Estate Realm maps to the existing pool. So basically, like, let's say you get, take Suffocation Pit as an example, because it's the only one. It was the first, name of one of the Macmillan Estate maps I could think of. So basically, you have the normal Suffocation Pit, which is the one we all know and love or hate. But now there's a second version of Suffocation Pit where the mine shaft will be in a different position and some other things will be moved around. And I think that's really cool that they decided to go back and update the Macmillan Estate stuff. I think that's cool, and I'm very excited to see that. Features, bot improvements, rework the bot's skill check system. Success rates now correlate with skill check size. I don't entirely know what that means, but that makes me think that the success rate of bots is higher. So me and Orange have played plenty of bot matches by ourselves, and we played a few together as well. And gotta say, those bots seemingly never miss a skill check. They are gen rushing like machines. Because they appear to never miss a skill check, they just blaze through a generator. It's pretty crazy. Skill check debuffs such as the Dyer's Madness or Hex Huntress Lullaby reduce the odds of hitting the skill check. So that makes me think that before this bots just did not care and could deal with it, but now it seems like the bots are against the sort of skill check debuff stuff in the game, because there's multiple skill check debuffs. So it sounds like now the bots are going to have a harder time to deal with that. So I'm very excited to see that as well. There's a lot of stuff in here that I can't wait to see more of. And then, but okay. Here, so that's so bug fixes. Here we go. Audio. Fix an issue that caused the killer to hear Ripley's dialogue in the menus. Oh yeah, because they're not supposed to hear that. So that's not really a make or break thing, but it is nice that but it's one of those unintentional thing that they're fixing, which is fine. The last few times that I've been reading stuff, it was like there were so many just little bug fixes that didn't really make or break anything, and it was kind of getting fatiguing. So I'm very happy with reading this in the developer update because there was actually like new sort of stuff that like actually like mattered to the gameplay of characters and stuff, and it's just more interesting to me to read that type of stuff. Vaccination should have caused the Sud's house and the Master's board to disappear quickly after appearing. Yeah, so okay, so the audio bug fixes here aren't really anything that they don't make or break a single thing, but they are nice little fixes. Bots can now attempt to self unhook. They never tried to self unhook before, so I think that's good that they can try now. Let's now break a stare down with the killer earlier when standing still on opposite sides of a remote flame turret. That's good. Because that was something I noticed. They would just kind of stare at each other for a bit. But let's now try to look for potential killer approach paths when doing long interactions, taking breaks from turning the camera slowly around. Okay, so those bot changes I like. They are helpful. They make the bots work better. The bots are a little smarter, which is good. I'm about to get destroyed by these bots when I start playing the PTP, but whatever. Characters. Fix an issue that cost the Huntress, the Cannibal, aka Bubba, the Clown, Ghostface, and the Hack to not follow the rule of looking slightly down when vaulting. They've mentioned something like that before. I think it was. I mean, it's fair, but again, that doesn't really make or break anything. But that is technically like a rule of the games. Well, at least that's a rule behavior gave the characters, so that's good. The Xenomorph's tail attack no longer allow the hit from behind the killer. That change is way more important, in my opinion, than the vaulting thing, because the vaulting thing, it's like you're kind of stuck doing an animation, so it doesn't really matter. But the Xenomorph tail attack being able to hit behind the killer is definitely not intentional, so that's good. The FOV increase from blinks can no longer be seen on the tally screen when leaving a mesh during a blink of the nerves. Okay, that doesn't make or break anything, but that's fair. I really like that Xenomorph change though. Out of the free, that's definitely my favorite of the free characters. Environment/mouse. Fix an issue where the dream snares of the nightmare. Oh god, they did something with my boy. What did they do to my main? Oh god. Could be placed under the floor of the Shattered Square's main building. I'm sorry. You could place dream snares out of bounds. Okay, I'm happy. So I'm happy about that fix. For those of you that don't know, I am a Freddy main. I suck as Freddy, but I am a Freddy main. And gotta say, I'm very happy about that change because that's a problem if they're going down there. So anytime I see them talk about Freddy, I'm nervous because I like buffs, not nerfs. And this is definitely, you could argue this is and fixing this issue is very nice because it makes him actually makes him work all that better. So I have no issues with this and I like it. Oh, there's a few other, looks like there's maybe one more thing with Freddy. So let's see. Fix an issue with the dream snares of the nightmare, aka Freddy, aka my main, could be placed under the floor of the temple lane base. Okay, so I like both of those Freddy changes. Fixing those issues is huge because now they're not just gonna go under the floor. I like those changes. I like those. Fix an issue where the Demogorgon could jump on top of walls in the Stirred Reward Realms maps. That's good because I don't think because he's definitely not supposed to be able to do that, so that's good. I know they nerfed, I forget if it was Space Billy or Sky Billy, I believe are the names of it. For those of you that don't know, I've never seen either of these, and Orange has no idea how to pull off either of them, but I believe he's actually seen people do it. Basically, the playstyle was, well, Sky Billy and Space Billy were a little different, but both of them centered around the fact that there was a way, at least at that time, at least at the time when people actually used this playstyle a lot, where Billy, because he runs fast with his chainsaw and with certain add-ons, you could get him to get him to break the map and reach places you're not supposed to go to. I know at least one of those is gone forever, because I remember I don't know if I made a video on this update. Now that I kind of am doing this, I enjoy it. But they had said, I think it was, I forget what year it was, but there was an update that they did that basically killed, I believe it was Space Billy, that they completely killed off. But, it's whatever. I don't know, just that Demogorgon thing kind of reminded me of that. Faced an issue in the Coldwind Farm Realms maps where assets were too close and blocked the navigation of players. That's good. I know they reworked those maps a little bit to like change some stuff about it. It is no longer possible to place the bear trap higher than the killer, preventing animation glitch during the reset. That's not even supposed to be possible, so that's definitely good that they fixed that. The chemical trap is no longer invisible on the pallet as the survivor gets hit during the animation. That was a thing that could happen. That's very good that they fixed that, because that's just kind of ridiculous. Perks. The ultimate weapon killer perk no longer applies to survivors hiding inside lockers. I believe that's a perk for I believe that's singularity perk. It's either singularity or xenomorph. I believe it's singularity. But that's good because I guess before it could activate that way, and it's definitely not supposed to. So that's good. Undying now always handle tokens stacks of hex deferred to correctly. So that's good. I guess it was a little weird. Was that before? Platforms. Fix a crash on Nintendo Switch that could happen when interacting with the friends menu. That's good. UI. For consoles, the loadout search bar virtual keyboard now appears in the player's selected language rather than English. That's good. Map icons variations will display numerical indicators. That's good. Miscellaneous equipped charms are now always visible on the displayed character in the store. That's good. We have finally reached the guys, so some final thoughts. I do like this. There's quite a bit that I like. There's quite a bit of just little fixes, which there always are, like just little fixes that don't really make or break anything. They're just they're just little fixes that they decide to do because it's not supposed to like work that way. The anti-face camping stuff I'm very excited about because I've gotten face camped in tunnels quite a bit, and just having more more weapons to deal with it, like more things to help deal with it, is nice. I'm happy about the Freddy the Freddy things, like just fixing those issues so it just works smoother. You can actually get value out of those dream snares. All that fun stuff. I'm also excited about I'm still very curious about Skull Merchant's change, because I know people have been I know quite a bit of the other YouTubers that are seemingly more that are way more popular than me and Orange, but people trust their opinions a lot, and they've been giving behavior a lot of crap over skill merchant. Again, I think we got to give them time with this. It's not easy changing stuff, and they just kind of thought of a change and kind of went with it to kind of just see what would happen and kind of gauge and and to get feedback. So I have no complaints with it, unlike even though that they seem to, because I understand sort of what they're trying to do here. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying I'm trying to give them time. The Trapper buff, I'm so happy about because that's just cool. The bot things were pretty good as well. Um, I think it's interesting that the skill check system with them works a little different now. The map update sounds awesome as well. I'm very excited to see those. The the Legion change is nice. The Trickster and Huntress change is nice. I'm very excited about Deathslinger's change as well. And the perks that they touched is interesting. The background player and Furtive Chase. So yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, ring the bell. Do all the algorithmic garbage. It helps us out a lot. It means a lot to us. Expect a video of me playing the PTB to be very soon. I don't know if it's going to happen, but there were plans for me and Orange to actually be together sometime soon. We very rarely are together at this point since he moved. If you guys haven't seen his videos on him moving and want to, go ahead and check them out. It explains he explains it better than I can because of course he's the one that moved. So if it worked out, I might try to. So if it does end up happening, I might try to do a video with him of maybe him also playing the PTB or something, or at least he'll be there. And then, but that's not looking likely. I haven't even heard from Orange in the last few days. He has not responded back to my messages. But then again, who does? Anyways, before I ramble on about nonsense, I'll see you guys in the next video, and expect a PTB video of me playing it very soon. Bye, guys.